Well, hello everybody. I'm back, but at a much greatly reduced rate here in Canada. I have all kinds of ongoing investigations from Facebook Canada, all initiated by the government of Canada, all part of a massive campaign to silence, uh, reduce sharing of said persons. It's amazing, not out of the realm of normal. I've been nailed for hate speech on opinion alone. The government of Canada is determined that in their grand vision, the things I talk about, because it's against Crown, the one thing that they don't want to ever see removed is a hate speech. I'm against the first class. I have to be destroyed. Now, all of you friends and followers, I know people are logging on going, hey, a lot of people have already been telling me we don't get your notifications. I get that. Don't expect it to get any bigger. In fact, it's going to be much smaller. If you share my video, you can share on your personal Facebook. You can't share in any groups. I am banned from every Facebook group in Canada. This will be 3 to 6 months. In fact, right now, at least for the next now 41 hours, because they keep digging more and more. It was 17 hours. Now it's 41 hours. It's likely going to be 4 years. So, everybody, I can't comment. I give you my email, my last post. If you really want to get a hold of me, email me. Snail mail is all I'm allowed in Facebook. At least for another 41 hours. It's not going to improve. They've gone back through all my posts. Not fiction. Everybody, they can't get me for fiction. They got me sharing Donald Trump's video. That got highlighted. At least, I don't even know how many. I haven't even counted all my posts. Not for fiction, everybody. Not for fiction. But absolutely for offending the crown, breaching that trust of the government. Last night I went live in what's called oh geez, Twitter. Oh, whatever. I can't remember the name of it. Sorry everybody, but I spoke with Michelle Rempel live. Several media live. They had issue too. It's all on cryptocurrency, and I want to get into that. Where Canada's going, where the crypto mining universe and all of those in the DOS format, those wanting to go forward and get policy in Canada. Now, this big consortium, they want it right across Canada. Bad move, Canadians. I'm going to tell you, just with what we're watching with the truck convoy, whether you believe it or not, is not the issue. It's the issue of protest and having the legal means to do that, the legal means to get donations for those who believe in what you're doing. Now, I'm not saying or advocating any way for anybody's concepts. They're called special interests. I don't do special interests. I'm building a federal party to free every Canadian, as America did more than 250 years ago. The Crown doesn't want that. They don't want you educated in the idea of King's Court. I've just made a post before this video. I'm going to upload that and put in the link to get people to understand what your government has done, has always done, regardless of political party. This is a system, very old. They continue it. It's a 950-year-old system, always to con the people. You're always responsible for all the bad decisions the government makes. When they make good decisions and they make money, you, the people, don't get that money. The government fills their pockets as fat and as large as they can. If you don't believe it, constitutional monarchies, the whole monarchy system, the kings, which were ascended by God, a selected family, yada, yada, yada. We all get that. We see the royal family today. The problem is all of their designs around the world, alive and well today, like the country of Canada, one of their most pivotal creations in the worst era of constitutional monarchies. They created Canada. Other countries too, alive and well today, but for the purpose of this video, it's to explain to Canadians. It's for your education. That government, that crown, this government we have the ability to elect. You don't have the ability to control what your government does, not in any way, shape, or form once elected. They have a crown power, a backdoor going around democracy. The United States of America never liked it. The 13 colonies, the breakaway, it was all to do with that. Taxation without representation. Forcing the will of a divine ruler over the will of the people, meaning the people don't exist only to serve in servitude, serfdom. That's what Canada is. That's what Canada will always be, as long as we, the people, allow it to continue that way. Bitcoin is just the latest by Michelle Rempel, and I show Canadians in my last post that I will upload in the title of this video for all of you who can share it on your personal Facebook. You can't get me in groups. Even if approved, the video won't be available. That's just how it is. I am reduced to the lowest platform in all of Facebook land. That's how it's going to be. I'm not allowed to like, love any of your comments. Can't even respond to you. Don't know how long that's going to last. I can only give videos, give education. People want to follow me, or you want to show people and they like me, they can follow me, they can friend request me up to my 5,000 limit. That's as far as I can go. Canada wants absolute control. The Crown wants absolute control over everything. That is the mission of government. They want to have power over any way of sourcing revenue or monies. They want you, the taxpayer, to always be liable to ensure that, meaning devaluing you. If you don't believe this, a lot of people champion Rocco Galati. He's not your friend. He never has been. The Harper government used Rocco Galati, and how they did this is King's Court. The government, through Governor General, meaning Stephen Harper, picked up the phone to the Governor General and said, "You're going to tell the Supreme Court to direct Rocco Galati's case to this, this, and this. And you will rule and apply remedy to this, this, and this." Not an independent judiciary. You will find every American scholar and academic in real constitutional law, rule of law, Democrat, Republican alike, does not matter. They will all tell you the truth. They even give in children's education, and as embarrassing as that is for me to have to put that in a post, it's called Ducksters, and it's for young children in the American society going through school. Teachers teach a whole segment on King's Court. Why you don't do it? Why you should never give divine power to individuals over the people. It's slavery. It's wrong. You don't use financial institutions. Public banks are basically the wealth of the citizen, and your government accesses it through that public institution. Rocco Galati's decision, everybody, starting in 2011, finished, signed, sealed, certified through Governor General in King's Court. That's what it is. When Prime Minister wants something done. Stephen Harper was an economist. He wanted to make sure he could control what happens in financial sectors, private financial sectors, through government bailout, which means you ensure their screw-ups. Right or wrong. Chartered banks in 2008 lent out loans they should have never lent out. I'm sorry, Canadians. They should have never lent them out. They were loans that made people rich, filling their back pocket on commission. And the people who took the loans couldn't pay back the loans. Meaning, if you scrutinized their financial standing, you'd say, "I'm sorry, this loan can't be made available to you. You're going to default on it 9 times out of 10. You hear me, Canadians? Friends, followers? 9 times out of 10. Rocco Galati got it so that the Bank of Canada can't put those kind of protections in. That the federal government can take over, mandate the Bank of Canada at zero interest or no interest loans, meaning there's no wealth creation. You, the taxpayer, goes tits up. All of your investments, i.e., your pension plans, anything tied through charter banks, RSPs, it goes on and on and on. They can make sure you never make a dollar, that you actually lose money. You lose money. That's what the Bank of Canada can do now, the Government of Canada can do now. As you all saw, they mandate corporations. Provincially, it's supposed to be a provincial power. Federal oversight, they go through province, make deals with premiers. Again, how do they do that? How does the federal government do that when it's not a division of power? Prime Minister calls up Governor General, who calls up lieutenant governors of said provinces and starts causing problems for the premier. You know that bill you're putting forward next Monday? We're not going to stamp that. See, we have a real issue with this. And in fact, we're going to get one of our NGOs, non-government organizations, to sue you. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get the Superior Court to rule in that NGO's favor. We're going to destroy your premiership. We're going to make an example of you. Canadians are never wiser to King's Court. You don't realize your democracy's been completely usurped. Your premier will deal with the prime minister because they want to fill their back pockets too. They'll say, okay, we'll make a deal with you. Canadians don't need to know about it. The citizens of my province, against federalism, I'm going to make a unitary deal with you to give you power over my provincial powers. But I want said this. Make me rich. Make me rich at absolutely the expense of the taxpayer. The central bank, which is the Bank of Canada, of all of Canada, is a federal power. It is the wealth of every taxpayer. What you generate, that is represented as the Bank of Canada. When you allow government to utilize revenue from that institution to bolster their budgets or complete public works that may not be in the best interests of Canadians at absolutely all Canadians' expense, and you ensure it. Engineers, first-class citizens, lawyers, doctorates of various NGOs, they all get rich while you get devalued. Right now, the Bank of Canada not keeping up with what's best for the people, which is raising interest rates to lower inflation. They'd rather allow it to continue and devalue. Now, it's not going to last. They've already made a deal for all of their business holders, that wealthy first class, who owns most of the private property in Canada, so that you will rent from them. They've already told them what the total of the interest rate increases are going to be. They published the 1.2% for this year, starting May 1st, as a benchmark for what rental rates must be to cover the losses from interest rates. It's a smudged system, always on the backs of absolutely the second and third class, some of which that swear the oath and follow the government because they are of the crown will do very well. All others will do extremely poorly. The results of Harper and Rocco Galati are alive and well today as Trudeau completes that at an unprecedented rate. You're all seeing it. Conservatives make fun of him, except for the fact they created that system through King's Court and Rocco Galati, the ruling giving the power to have zero interest rates for the Government of Canada to bolster their public works, meaning I will take from the Canadian citizen, whether or not it's right or wrong, we will make a lot of money and the Canadian citizen will be devalued. This was never the mandate of the Bank of Canada, the People's Bank. It is now, and it has been since basically 2015, absolutely. Alberta has its own chartered Crown corporate public bank for the citizens of Alberta. This is not their mandate. Provinces under division of powers are not allowed to have public Crown banks. Alberta got that done in the 30s. A premier fought the lieutenant governor, two lieutenant governors in history in Canada. He fought regardless. He stayed on the radio. He kept telling Alberta citizens, I must do this. I must fight for you, the people. And he did. And he finally won it. He finally got a lieutenant governor to give it away. And it was very early in Confederation, 1952 post. Quickly, that crown was usurped by the federal politicians. They realigned. No province could ever, outside of ATB and Alberta, could ever replicate what Alberta has done with that bank. One premier did that. One premier who loved the people, regardless of what you believe about his politics and everything else. He did something that no premier had ever done in the right time. The right time of the crown being picked up by the federal government and then administering it to all provincial governments. They stole the crown. What was done then can never be repeated again. Never in Canadian history. Crypto going forward, if lobbyists for crypto truly believe in the independence of a currency outside of government and everything that represents, Alberta's the only way and the only path forward in policy, and that means bringing ATB on board. It means dealing with the provincial government in Alberta. As for the rest of Canada, if you don't like what the Bank of Canada has done to the Canadian citizen and how much power the government has over you in all financial sectors, don't make federal legislation for cryptocurrency or you're going to lose everything. It's going to just become another RSP, another revenue source for the government, another way for the government to bankrupt Canadians. That's the truth. That's the truth. It's all true. The media's had ample resources to write about this for many years, especially the Bank of Canada. They choose not to. And why do they choose not to? Because the Crown government, the Crown customary law, pays for stories of their design. You don't get paid for stories that don't suit the Crown. Hence, you get reduced in platforms, you get kicked off, you get reduced, and that's how it will always be as a Canadian citizen. Telling the truth doesn't promote you in Canadian society. Being a compulsive, perpetual liar is the only way to go forward in Canada. Think about that, Canadians. Americans are waking up to this every day. I enter a great amount of talks with the greatest legal minds inside the United States and all over the world. I do them every week, 1 to 2 a week. Tina brought me into this one. We went through it, and clearly, two outstanding Democrats. One, SCOTUS, means SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the United States of America. One of those justices was there. We are putting information into the minds of Americans. We're putting information into the minds of experts all over the world. Central America, South America, juristocracy. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, America's woken up to that. But now they're waking up to King's Court. And what is their northern neighbor? Like it or not, this is the path I'm on. Will I make it all the way? I don't know. But the government is clearly not down for it. They're not going to let this go. It's going to get worse for me. Much worse. Email is the only way forward. I'm doing much with First Nations and the Chiefs. There will be a legal civil liability form. I will be administering that out through email to many First Nations who've shown interest, followers and friends of mine. If you want to do it, this is the way forward. It's to keep it real, keep it credible, and keep it out of the hands of the crown, which is all political parties. Do this for the children. Do it for what's right. Do it because it can be done, and the world is waiting for you to do it. That's the truth. We can't be stopped. The crown can't stop it, not unless they themselves wish to pursue violent means. Maybe they will. I guess we'll see. I don't know. They've done it many, many times in our history. They target groups all the time. Just look at the mandates right now. Should there even be mandates? Pfizer says if you're fully vaccinated, no children should be wearing a mask. Look at the United States of America. Why are we doing this in Canada? Against the manufacturer's recommendations. I'm a triple shot Canadian. Should there be any mandates against me at all after following all the protocols and even the lunacy of our government? But yet it all remains because the power and control is what they want. Now, there's a few provinces saying, oh, we're going to go into this, we're going to go into... It's a tiered system. A tiered system until, oh, the next one. Oh, 2 years I've never been sick. The reality is my T cell count is through the roof. It's always been through the roof. I got dense bones, a highly strong white blood cell count. That's just me, everybody. That's just me. I got all the boost, the shots, the boost. I'm going to take a pile of shots just to go to Russia. When you go around the world, there's a pile of shots you have to take. Different countries, different strokes, different folks. Mandated. Always been there. Your government's always been like this. Did COVID shine a flashlight on everything? Sure it did. And I'm going to leave you all with this one thing. One thing, the most powerful thing from the largest and strongest legal minds of the Democrats of America. Democrats of America. Strongest legal minds of the Democrats. Rule of law. Canada does not have rule of law. You have crown customary law. There are 8. See that? 8 principles to give you rule of law in the entire world. Since Plato. In the world, you can't be a lawyer. Well, in Canada you can be, and the Commonwealth. But in the vast world, including the United States of America, Russia, these 8 elements of rule of law have to be met, or you don't have rule of law. Canada does not meet the 8 elements since Plato. We can go into Aristotle, we can go into many of the great philosophers throughout history that are widely accepted worldwide. We don't have rule of law. We have crown customary law. 2 very different things. There is no true defined rule of law in Canada. More than that, when you look at independent judiciaries, we don't have that either. We have King's Court. If you want to know what that means, look at Duxter's The Child Education from the United States of America. Young children going to school in the United States learn this in elementary school. No Canadian's ever been educated. The Crown would never allow that education to ever go forward. So remember, Canadians, 1, you don't have legally defined rule of law, not by world standards across the entire world. 2, you don't have independent judiciary. You have King's Court. That's what a constitutional monarchy is, the illusion of democracy. You elect your kings. You elect them. That is the only power you have. If you run a business, you will accept and adopt everything the Crown administers upon you to administer on all your employees, all of society, or you will be reduced back to third class. Good luck with your business. They will see it bankrupted. That's the power of the crown. That is the institution called Canada. That's what you are. An old, sick version of it, a remnant of colonialism, designed in that period, kept in that period, and it's perpetual. And until we the people change, you will always be world leaders in the NWO, New World Order, which is entirely illegal. In the UN Charter 1945, it flies in the face of the United States of America, Russia, United Kingdom, France, and China. Some of them like to play around with it. The majority of them don't. They just need to see it happening. And that's the work we're going to do. We're going to fix the world. And when people say, hey, that's not possible, no little Joe Jane can do that. Anybody can do anything in this world when you put your mind to it, when you work hard enough, when you stay the course. The government is putting massive upon me, as they have many other Canadians, especially in real truth. I've shared sarcasms, I've shared presentations by other people, and it's been labeled fake news by independent fact checkers or biased news, however they want to do it. The reality is, it's not my content. Whether I share it for a laugh or in the name of sarcasm, nailing somebody for not their intellectual property is a joke. Is a joke. Why not just ban that whole post if you deem it? Why penalize everybody involved in it, whether I saw it as a joke or I found it very sarcastic? Why is that not accessible in Canada to the people anymore? Are we even a fun country anymore? Do we have any sense of skepticism, of critical thought, of analysis? The answer is no. We have serfdom. We have an overlord divinity of a first-class politician who decides for you how everything's going to go, while they're more incompetent than you, less educated, less worldly, and really they're only there for populist reasons. And once they get there, their job is to destroy you, steal as much as they can in the amount of time they have as a politician. And if you think that there's good ones and then there's bad ones, the reality is the good ones, 95% of the time, will be corrupted just by the system as it exists. When you hear about your divinity every day of your life, how many hours, how many days, how many weeks until you believe it? That's the truth. How long can you go unrestricted with really no rules whatsoever, except for to kiss the ring and the divinity of the crown? How long will you go till you're fully corrupt and you're thieving just like the rest of them? Because there are no real rules of governance, no how to govern, and definitely no accountability. Because rule of law is whatever the politicians say it is. They flip-flop it whenever they want, which is a breach of the 8 principles of rule of law. Canada, you can go through those 8 principles alive and well today, the fundamental building blocks of many countries. Analyze COVID-19, the pandemic, the laws up, the laws down, the changes, the flip-flops, and tell me that any of that matches the classic definition by all the greatest legal minds of the world today, how any of that matches anything or anything like rule of law. The answer is it doesn't. It doesn't. And that should terrify all of you, or at least light up the Christmas bulb in your head and say, whoa, I am not in any kind of real democracy at all. I am in a complete fabrication. I am in a dictatorship. Thanks, that's my video. Share on your page. Don't even attempt to share to groups, because it won't go, or it will go, but it won't be visible. And all that's going to happen is you're going to drive me further and further and further until you can't even watch my lives anymore. That's where I'm at. This is Canada. It's how Facebook is mandated to work in Canada, everybody. The corporation from the United States of America, Facebook, must work like this in Canada or they don't operate in Canada. Thanks. That's my video. Enjoy your day.